Danny, how you doing, man?
Right. I can't think of a quote from the film. We're back! Hello, Lewis.
Hello, Daniel. How are you today? We took a mini hiatus.
We did.
And now we're back.
We did. It was lovely. Did you get up to anything nice?
I did an awful lot of not very much, which was
Utterly fantastic. I spent a lot of time lying down,
reading books,
Nice.
playing computer games
Nice.
on my Commodore 64 in the late 80s. I don't know when the Commodore 64 was around, but yeah, that's what I spent the time doing.
Lovely. That's
Yeah.
great. It's fantastic.
What did you spend the week off doing? The mini hiatus.
I spent my time sharpening my bitterness, you know?
You spent all your time looking at those horrific things that are happening in America, and you thought, yeah, that's what I hate about humanity. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just my own house. Just my own family member. Just
You
look.
watch your brother making a cup of tea. Of course, you fuck.
Put the milk in first, you fucking bastard. I mean, I don't.
You know, that's how it was traditionally done.
Yeah, but I don't. I was joking. I'm not one of these people that goes about saying if you put it in. I don't think there's much of a difference in taste.
There probably isn't, no. Unless you're using the finest tea and all that
Fancy stuff. There's probably not much of a difference.
Yeah, finest tea.
I don't know what the finest tea would be.
I don't know where it would be from.
Well, isn't tea from India?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so.
Maybe we'd have to go directly to India
Maybe-
to source the finest tea.
Shouting into the void on the road.
That's what we'll do for Void 60.
Maybe
Go to
we
India and drink some tea.
maybe we'd have to go around the world.
In 80 days.
That was stunning, Danny. I was a big fan of that. Yeah.
Holy
Um,
shit. Okay.
Have you got a cheeky little bit for the bullshit?
I do. Here we go. If you had a superpower, what would it be, and what would you use it for?
What would it be, and what would I use it for?
Yeah.
Well, I think all of the super overpowered superpowers, things like telepathy and telekinesis and all that sort of stuff, as much as they're the ones you think you'd want, I think when you got them and you became a god, at that point it would be almost pointless to have them. You'd start to lose touch with reality.
Yep.
I think you need to have one that's a bit less good, so I'd go for probably invisibility. That'd probably be handy.
What and what would you use it for?
I don't know. It's to be honest with you, it's like the thing one of the things I hate most is when I'm walking in a busy street, and it's like I know it's in my head. It's like a social anxiety thing of like, oh my god, am I walking really weirdly? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? So then I would just turn invisible and nobody would see me, and I'd be stealthily walking down the street. And I'd be like, the social anxiety is cured. Even though this is not a way to deal with social anxiety, it's a bizarre coping mechanism that you've somehow got a superpower.
Nice. That's good.
What about you? What superpower would you want?
I'd want to be able to read people's minds.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
use it till it bests them in conversations.
The best of them in conversation.
And the tiniest, most pathetic victories possible. I'd be like, like that.
So it's like, it'd be like, did you see Ghosts when that came out, that TV series?
No.
Oh,
What's
it was.
What's that about? No.
Right, well, you know all those people from Horrible Histories when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Well, basically, they all got together and made a sitcom called
Oh.
Ghosts, and it's really good. But there's this big old house that this young couple somehow inherit through some trick of wills and inheritance and all that sort of stuff. And when they're in the house, they realise the house is actually haunted
By this set of ghosts played by the cast of Horrible Histories.
Nice.
And as they move in, their next door neighbour comes over and he introduces himself. He's like, "Oh, hi! So I've noticed there's some kind of a land dispute, and the land between your gate and the main road, I actually own it. Should we say 25 quid for that? 25 for that?" And they go, "Oh yeah, £25. That's no problem." And they shake hands, and he goes, "Of course, you don't actually mean £25. You mean 25,000, and you've shaken on it now, and you've signed the paperwork and all this." And then one of the ghosts goes, "Oh well, yeah, it's a shame that nobody knows about those accounts in Belize, because then he'd be shitting himself." And the wife goes, "Oh yes, of course, and
£25,000 will be fine. And am I paying it to those accounts in Belize?
And he just looks at her for a couple of seconds and doesn't say anything and goes, "Okay, well, that'll be free then, bye!" And just like runs out of the front door and shepherds his wife with him at the front door, and it's bizarre.
That sounds
I'm not
great.
doing that justice at all, but it's a really good sitcom.
Yeah,
It's,
I was going to say, if you get the script in front of you, no.
No,
It's really funny because it's
all of the ghosts.
in this mansion are people who have died on the grounds of the mansion, sort of thing.
So like,
Uh-huh.
one of them is like this Victorian era lady who
Who killed herself in the house. She discovered her husband having an affair and killed herself or something? Yeah, her husband pushed her out the window, and now she's like doomed to repeat that at 3 a.m. every night.
Yeah.
But the rest of the day she lives a pretty normal life for a ghost and all that sort of stuff. And that's like all of the ghosts have this tragic backstory that they just don't acknowledge.
Yeah.
Like there's a scoutmaster who's there, and he's like it's like a flashback to the day he died. He's like teaching the scouts how to do archery on the lawn of this this grand manor that he ends up haunting.
Yeah.
And the scouts are all there, stood in front of the start targets, and they're trying to pull with the bow. And he says, "No, I'll show you." And he does one, and it goes into the target. It's fine. And he walks down the range to collect the arrow. And just as he turns round, a scout accidentally shoots him through the neck.
Oh no!
With an arrow. And he's there, like running around the lawn, like trying to get into the bus, trying to get to the hospital, and all this sort of stuff. Then he fucking keels over in the grounds to this mansion, and then his ghost perpetually has an arrow through his neck.
Oh.
As you do.
Oh, that's
Like
shit.
another one of them was burned for being a witch, so she constantly looks a bit frazzled, and she has the power to make actual living people think that a room smells like burning. It's bizarre.
That's a callback to Horrible Histories, isn't it? Or is that another sketch show on CBBC where there's
I'm not sure.
There's a guy who's dressed as a witch burner, and like when tedious things don't go his way, he just accuses people of witchcraft, and they just get carried off. It's like,
I remember that was my absolute favourite when he was in a canteen. Was it?
Yeah,
Canteen?
we've got no more chips. What? We've got no more chips. Witch!
She's a witch! And then these people are just stormed through the door. Witch.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Some of the CBBC comedy was like fucking brilliant.
Especially,
just thinking back
especially that show 4 O'Clock Club. You know that one? That was great. There
was great. Yeah,
there was 2 people on that, a Scottish guy and an English. They were just fantastic, weren't they? Fantastic.
they were fantastic. Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Back to
I wonder what they're doing now.
back to the superpower thing though. I was thinking about it, and there's a show called Misfits.
Right.
And it's about these sort of young offenders that are doing their community service, and this storm happens, and they get these little superpowers and things like that. And then it just you slowly find out that a lot of other people have been affected by this storm, and they have superpowers as well. And they all have like really impressive kind of stuff. There's one guy who's like immortal and he can't die, and then they get to the point where it's like everyone knows who they are, and they become world famous and stuff like that. And there's this one guy whose power is he can control dairy.
Right? Like milk and cheese.
Yeah, milk and cheese. And so at the start he's like, yeah, everyone's impressed, but as more and more super beings sort of come forward, he's sort of maligned and sort of pushed to the side, and no one really cares about him anymore. And you're like, wow, what a shit power that would be. Oh, but it gets very interesting then, because he becomes so embittered that he just starts manipulating the dairy and the cheese inside people's system and clots it to the point where they choke on their own cheese, and just starts like killing people with just the dairy. It's like,
I see.
It's so weird, but it's so dark at the same time. And
like what was it X-Men 2, where there was that security guard guarding Magneto, and like somebody snuck extra iron pills into
that's
his
it.
beer. Yeah, and Magneto like took the iron out of his blood and used it to escape. Yeah,
that's right. But the guy I mentioned, Nathan, who's immortal, he's like, your cheese thing can't work on me. I'm immortal. He's Irish.
Does he then get killed?
No, he doesn't. What happens is the mozzarella that he had is put up into his brain and basically destroys his brain. He can't die, but he just spends the rest of his life as brain dead, essentially.
That's fucking horrendous.
It's so dark. It's so dark. But luckily there's a guy who can time travel and he fixes it, so it's fine.
Well, that's good then. Good old bit of time travel. When you know, everybody knows how we feel about time travel on this show.
Oh yeah, it's foolproof. Foolproof. No mistakes can be made with time travel. But
I have something I would like to bring to the conversation table. If unless you have something more to say about superpowers, very quickly.
No, I'm done.
Okay, I have a fan theory that I would like to bring to the table.
Oh, okay, go on.
I believe that Jim from Friday Night Dinner is a descendant of pre-revolutionary France aristocracy.
Okay.
Right, there are two reasons for this. Reason one is the obvious one, that if people are a fan of Friday Night Dinner, they might have immediately put two and two together and gone, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The first one is that for the grandma's wedding to Mr. Morris, he brings round a box of porcelain, which he hilariously drops, and it's hilarious. But when he says, "Oh, this is a genuine 18th century tea set that belonged to Marie Antoinette," and everybody's like, "Right, well, that must not be true because Jim's a bit weird, and he probably just picked it up from a charity shop, and he might just be a bit confused, and he hasn't quite figured it out, or whatever it is." And then he hilariously drops it, and it's great. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that was Marie Antoinette's tea set,
right?
All of Marie Antoinette... Okay, there's the Marie Antoinette of Let Them Eat Cake fame.
Yep.
But she also had a lot of sisters, all of which were also called Marie Antoinette.
Oh.
So I believe that tea set did belong to Marie Antoinette, but just not the Marie Antoinette.
Right.
And so Jim has inherited it from his, I suppose it'd be great nan or whatever.
Yeah.
Who was a Marie Antoinette.
Right.
That is part one of my two-pronged argument.
Right.
And the second prong is when he brings the fish around to the Goodman's house and says, "Can you please cook this for me?" Yes, how do you want it cooked? Oh, the normal way, in butter and sugar. And they go, "Oh, right, okay," because of course that is not a normal way to cook a fish. You would, I don't know, poach it or bake it or fry it or whatever, but you would most certainly not cook it in butter and sugar. Unless you were in a restaurant in pre-revolutionary France. I learned this bizarre historical tidbit because I was writing an article about French cuisine through time, and I learned that in pre-revolutionary France, French restaurants, especially in Paris, where Marie Antoinette's sisters, I suppose, would have been.
Yeah.
I haven't checked that bit, but I'm presuming they probably went to Paris at least once. And they used to cook all of their meat and all of their fish in the richest, most expensive things they could. No matter how it tasted, they just wanted the food to be expensive. And what would have been expensive in France at that time, before industrialisation?
Sugar and butter, I'm guessing.
Yes, sugar and butter. Therefore, it was extremely popular to cook meat, fish, whatever, in sugar and butter, things like treacle and honey, and things that were difficult to get pre-industrialisation. And it didn't matter that it didn't taste good, because it was just saying, look how rich I am. Wow. Look how much money I have. I can afford this buttery, sweet piece of fish.
Yeah.
And so, just maybe, if Jim's ancestors are as weird as he is, maybe they maintained that tradition of restaurant, pre-revolutionary France restaurant fish cooking, and they've maintained that down the generations, from Marie Antoinette's sister and onwards, and so now that's how Jim cooked his fish. So I believe that Jim from Friday Night Dinner is descended from pre-revolutionary French people.
Wow, that's it's pretty conclusive.
Yes, it is. I've thought about this a lot.
I mean, to be fair, I don't have any evidence to go against you, so I can't really...
Because you had no idea I was going to say it.
Yeah, I had no idea. I if you'd have told me this, I would have prepared for it. I still probably couldn't have found anything that would rebuke your claim, because it involves a lot of suspension of disbelief on my part.
Really, that's true.
Just let's see. Fuck's sake. But okay, I buy that. Fine.
Good. I'm glad we've reached this mutual agreement. Thank you very much, everybody. If you have
complaints about this,
don't get in touch.
Yeah,
If
don't.
you want to support this, do.
Yeah.
Get in touch and say, yes, I believe
Jim is descended from French aristocracy.
All right, not the podcast. Your theory. Don't, forget about the podcast. As long as you support the theory, then yeah, please do get in touch. Brilliant.
Yeah, this podcast is just a springboard for my Friday night dinner fan theory podcast, which I'm going to talk about how Jim is descended from French aristocracy, and how Jackie is actually an assassin.
Yep.
And how horrible grandma is, I don't know, a drug lord. I have no idea.
And how Wilson is the protagonist of the next Cats and Dogs film.
Yeah.
I think he might be. This is true.
Yeah. Do you know they're making another one of those films?
To be honest, I thought you were joking about the existence of it. What is it? What is it called? Cats and Dogs.
Cats and Dogs, and it's like
2001 film, 2020 film.
Yeah, there's another one where it's like, there's the cats and dogs must team up against some other animal.
Watching with the dogs on a mission to create a serum that would eliminate the canine allergies among the humans. Their feline foes are on their paws, hatching plans to obstruct the top secret canine project.
Yeah.
So it's cats v dogs, basically, not cats and dogs.
Oh, I thought there was like a sort of third animal that hadn't been explored in the universe at that point.
Oh, come on, Danny. That was Cats and Dogs 1. Cats and Dogs 2, The Revenge of Kitty Galore.
Oh, yeah.
Is, of course,
Susan Sarandon played Kitty Galore in that film.
Kitty Galore, a rogue spy, devises a plan to destroy all human and canine life. Wow. The dogs and cats have to put their ongoing battle on hold to stop her from executing her evil plot.
Yeah.
This film had a budget of $150 million US, and at the box office it made $112 million. Okay. And Cats and Dogs 3, which is due to be released this year. Oh no, it's been released this year. It's in cinemas. Okay.
Oh my god.
A supervillain parrot. Oh fucking hell! A supervillain parrot hatches a devious scheme to break the long-standing truce between cats and dogs.
There we go.
I knew it. It's got 3.1 on Google ratings.
Yep.
It's got 3.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, and spectacularly 4.5 out of 5 on Amazon.
Oh wow, Amazon, you're dropping the bar there, pal. You know the remake of the film that we're going to talk about had a budget of 110 million and made about 70 million.
Good lord.
That is
it was starring Steve Coogan and Jackie Chan, I think, the remake.
The 2004 one.
Yeah.
That does appear to be Steve Coogan and Jackie Chan, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
There we go, everybody. Right. Are we going to talk about the film, or are we going to talk more about any kind of bollocks that you've got on your mind?
I would appreciate another Friday Night Dinner fan theory if you've got one.
I don't have one. I'll get one for next time. I'll think up one.
And you'd better.
I will. I'll probably forget, and we probably won't mention it again in this one-off thing. But I'll try. I'll definitely try.
Fantastic, yeah. Right then, should we talk about this film that we're talking about then?
Yeah, okay. On you go. We're talking about Around the World and 80 days. In 80 days. Yeah, and it was. It was. I can't believe we're actually fucking doing that. It was written by a guy called John Farrow and another guy called James Poe, and it was directed by Michael Anderson, and it is starring Canton Flass, David Niven, Robert Newton, and Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm eating a Haribo. Can you vamp for a bit?
Yeah. It's a film about time travel.
What?
Isn't it? No, I'm joking. I have watched the film. Don't.
Okay, I finished my Haribo. Let's
Thank
go.
Fuck. I don't know if you could tell, but I was really spinning out of control there.
Yes, this film is 3 hours long. Good God, we did The Sound of Music and we've done this one, and they were both incredibly long. I could kind of understand The Sound of Music because it was originally a stage play, wasn't it? And then they adapted it for the cinema.
Yep.
This was just a book.
I mean, if film adaptations of books, if film adaptations of, say, the Harry Potter series have taught me anything, it's that you can make an hour and a half film out of a 800-page book if you really try hard enough.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it didn't need to be this long.
It did not need to be that long at all.
Not by any stretch. But we'll get to that. Do you have an opening statement?
I do. It has not aged well, though it does encapsulate the indomitability of man in a strange way.
Science leads, and I guess that means we've got to go around the world dead quick.
Well, there you go. One of the most critically acclaimed films in history. Now, whether that's deserved is up for debate. It is certainly a film that is a product of its decade and can be hard to stomach at points. A complicated one for sure.
I thought you were going to say, it's certainly a film. That was the end of the sentence.
It's certainly a film.
This is, according to IMDb, its popularity 909. What's that even? I can't even click on that to figure out what that means.
I don't know how that metric is measured.
909 of what?
Of all films of all time?
What? Of dead goodness.
Of dead goodness.
Do you know this film has won 5 Academy Awards?
Bloody hell.
And it was
Why?
and it was nominated for 8.
Good lord. Yeah, that's a bit.
Fucking 5. Right, do you know what? See, before we go any further, let's go through them, right? Okay.
Okay, I'd like to hear them.
So, first one, Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yep, better than Watchmen.
Yep.
Better than
It won
Think
that.
of any other films.
Best Editing.
Best edit? Was there much editing in the 50s? I mean, there must have been a little bit, but Christ, there can't have been that much.
Best Score. Best Colour Cinematography. And
Oh, well.
and Best Picture.
It won Best Picture.
It won Best Picture.
Good lord. Okay.
Right, well, before we dive too deeply into this film...
It's worth saying that this film was suggested by one of our patrons. It was suggested by Aditya, who has been a long-time patron, and we want to say thank you for suggesting this, and we're happy to talk about it, but we are probably going to shit on it a bit, because that's
just who we are.
if you would like to suggest a film that we may or may not shit on, then you can check out our Patreon tiers, loads of different tiers and rewards and all sorts of things for as little as... What did I worked it out once. It was like 10p an episode or something crazy. So go and check us out.
Yeah. That was very well done, Lewis. A nice wee plug in there. Lovely. Love it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. They call me Lewis. I can't think.
Oh, he's fucked it. He's fucked it now.
Fuck,
Jesus Christ. But do you know what's interesting is Aditya might have recommended the 2004 one, because I didn't know.
Yes.
I just
It's
assumed
not on
that it was the 1950s. But
I
maybe
don't think it's on the Discord. Should we have a look?
Oh, God, if we've both watched the wrong fucking film now, Jesus Christ.
I don't think I think it was just Around the World in 80 Days.
I think it was, yeah.
Um
Oh, sorry, my Discord has to download and install 3 updates. This is riveting listening,
right,
folks.
mine's is fine. I'll have a look.
Oh, there we go. Right. Shouting at the void Patreon. Recommendations.
We'll be with you in a minute.
And that's dead air there, everyone. Dead air.
Dead air.
Command F. Here we go. Right. Around the world.
Around the world? No, it just says Around the World in 80 days.
Oh, that's,
okay, so
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Then. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Who cares? It's fine.
It's your fault for not being specific.
Yep,
We
definitely.
should have done the 2004 one. Anyway, let's get into it, because we're time's marching on here.
Yes. Okay. Right. What are we? Right. We got some CRQs, CRSs, CRFs, CRJs.
Yes. You really
Can you hear that car alarm out in the street there?
No, I can't.
You can't hear it?
Fantastic. Let's carry on.
I can't hear you. You really have to forget about your 21st century suppositions if you want to watch this film.
Yeah. Yes.
There's some big oof moments just to get them out of the way. There's Shirley MacLaine playing Princess Aduya. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
And Shirley MacLaine is not Indian. So that's
You ready for this one, everyone? Just brace yourselves.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, what's the next one? Let's get these big oofs out the way.
It's set in the Victorian era, and it's also filmed in the 1950s. So there's going to be some offhand sort of comments, and there's going to be
Jesus.
Yeah,
there are plenty of those moments. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to get that out of the way, just to just so we've said it, and then it's done. Okay.
Right. Okay. That we've said that, and it's done. Now I think that the not the important thing about this film, because it's a bit racist, but the thing about this film that begs the most questions and begs the most thought is the thinking behind the wager and the wager in a modern day setting.
Yeah.
Right. Because obviously it's easy to traverse the surface of the world in 80 days now. You could do it in 24 hours or 48 hours. The flight to Australia takes 24 hours, so it must take 24 hours back, right?
Yeah.
So 48 hours round trip. That's a thing that's doable. It's easily doable within 80 days.
It's rather vague, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit.
Do you mean just go around it, or do you mean go to every country, stay there for a bit, and then come back in 80 days?
Yeah, was he supposed to drop down to the equator and then go around at the equator? Because that'd be a longer journey than going up to the North Pole, walking around the North Pole like just a metre square, and then coming back.
Yeah, and why 80 days?
Yeah.
What's the significance?
That's not specified, is it?
Yeah, what's the significance of it being 80 days?
God, it's almost as though a film based on an old book and then made in the 1950s they didn't think out these plot points as though... Oh, that's weird, that, isn't it? Bloody hell. I
will say, in defence of the film, technically, I mean, to think about it back then, they every sort of set piece, they did go to these countries genuinely.
So I mean, okay, that's better than just doing it all on a
sound stage.
Yeah,
which gives it, makes. I mean, the set pieces were pretty similar, but look, the fact that it was it literally looks like a Western saloon, but with Mandarin written on it or another language written on it. It doesn't. Some of it just looks so lazy, but they do have a lot of footage from these countries, which is kind of is good. That's
that is definitely good. It's it's kind of vaguely related to a thought I was having the other day. So we're going to go with my thought the other day. I think that's one of the things that makes a lot of difference between British sitcoms and American sitcoms.
Yeah,
is that American sitcoms are filmed on a lot in LA. Like Friends, or The Big Bang Theory, or How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
They have built that bar, and they have built those apartments, and they have built that workplace. And then they film it in a studio, and then everybody goes home. And it's easier, sure, it's way easier. But you lose something, I think, in doing it that way. But then a lot of British sitcoms, like Bad Education, or... oh my god, British sitcoms. Waterloo. Yeah.
Oh wait, well.
Oh, sorry. Friday Night Dinner, say.
Yeah, Friday. Oh, the In-Betweeners.
Yes, Friday Night Dinner, the In-Betweeners, loads of stuff. A lot of those are filmed in actual schools or in actual houses.
4 O'Clock Club.
4 O'Clock Club, yes, also filmed in an actual school.
Yep.
So
loads.
It makes loads of stuff, and I think that's a big difference. That makes much more of a difference than you would possibly ever think it would make.
Yeah.
I think you can see it in the actors, you can see it in the cinematography. People are trying very hard to be like, right, well, I'll make the best of this strange lighting conditions that I've got, and therefore they do some creative stuff with camera works. Or I'll try the best out of this weird acoustics that we've got, and therefore people have to say things in a different way. Or I'll do the best acting I can do in a dark room with my eyes closed. Or whatever ridiculous thing it is. And I think in that situation where people are deliberately trying to be creative and deliberately trying to do something new, it adds a bit of a magic to the show in a strange way.
Yeah.
I think that's something you can really see in a lot of British sitcoms that you don't see in US sitcoms.
So if you watch Peep Show, and compare that with The Big Bang Theory or something like, the apartment in The Big Bang Theory is fucking ridiculous for the salaries that these guys earn. But when you look at something like Peep Show, it's like, yeah, that that definitely looks like a British sort of flat where two guys are just sort of living and just sort of making do, eating pot noodles and things like that. You know, it looks lived in, it looks sort of dreary and sort of, but you know, in The Big Bang Theory, it's like, oh my god, they've got desks, they've got massive
apartment.
Yeah. Same deal with Friends. You know, one of them's a waitress. You know, it's notoriously bad pay. It's like how.
Yeah, I mean, they write it off as rent control or something. Like Monica's grandmother got the apartment for, I don't know, $500 a month in the 50s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then it's been stuck at that price for however long. So it was like dead cheap. But I mean,
how?
Yeah, you do make a good point. That apartment in New York. It's like, you regularly see these things come up on Facebook. A real estate agent from New York has just valued Monica's apartment at $4 million.
Yeah, you do see that.
Or whatever thing it is. You know what I mean?
Yep. Which is, I mean, there's an entire stratosphere of like YouTube that does stuff like that. It's like, how much does Batman have? How much does Iron Man? It's like, how are you supposed to? You don't know. You just know that it's like, well, according to the calculator, it's like, you can't calculate that. What are you talking about? And they make like giant leaps. I mean, I'm going completely off topic here. Leaps. Leap forward. There we go. Round the world in 80 days. There you go. Back to the topic.
Well, we're leaping back to the leap. Because one of my favourite ones of those videos was one where it says, how much money does Ron Swanson actually have? They make a lot of assumptions about, well, in 1970, whatever, how much did a worker at a steel factory earn? Because they knew, because he said, there's like a throwaway line where he says, oh yeah, I was working at the steel factory, or I was working at the leather mill, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they were like digging through historical records to find the average salary of a beginner steel worker or whatever it was, and they were like, oh yeah, he's got £3 billion. Wasn't it ridiculous?
How much money does Phileas Fogg have?
Well, one thing I would like to say, I made a quick note here. I'm just going to read it out loud for you. So these blokes, they put up in modern money £500,000.
Yep.
Quite easily. They said, yeah, I'll wager £500,000 that you can't get around the world in 80 days. Ha ha ha. This is hilarious and fun. And they were drinking brandy and having a great time and partying.
Yep.
And I would like to say, eat the rich. That's what I would like to say. Because if you could afford to piss away $500,000 that easily, then you shouldn't have it.
I've got to say, Phileas Fogg is one of the shittest adventurers I've ever seen in my life. All he goes about, he pays for like ships and boats and planes and stuff like this. See if this film was like 3 hours long, right? And it is literally,
which it is.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a tag on to that. If it was like 3 hours long, but instead of just like him and Cantinflas going about just paying off people to get to places, and it looked as if like, there was an actual struggle getting to different places, that would be so much fun, you know. That would be like, you could get yourself immersed into it, and you could sort of, we're on this journey with them sort of thing. That would be interesting. But if they're literally just paying people, saying, there you are, my good man, to get to, I don't know, like, oh, now we're in India because I paid some money. It's like, that just makes it far less interesting, I think.
Yeah, it's like that line from Doctor Who where Donna says, "Oh yeah, when I came back from going off to space with you or whatever it was, I said I was going to explore the world. Then I booked a 2-week holiday in Egypt." It's precisely that. It's like, yeah, you can explore the world, but I think there's a holiday to Thailand is a different thing to backpacking through Thailand and roughing it. And, do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, they both are valuable things to do and valuable experiences to have and all that, but I think they are different things. I don't know if I would class Fogg as an explorer if he's just going up to and saying, here you go, here's £1,000, which is $30 billion in 1956. Oh God! But yeah.
Let's talk about the prologue at the beginning.
Right.
What the fuck was that about?
Christ, those. I actually googled this. It was bizarre. Sorry, bear with me. I've lost where I googled it, but yeah.
It made no sense. It was like, oh yeah, the moon, right, yeah. we going to the moon now? Is it around the moon in 88? It's like, what the fuck was that about? It was so bizarre. And the fact that
Here we go.
the fact that the technology to like film it wasn't like invented in the Victorian era, and then this narrator came in and explained it's so typical of that sort of film era, where it's like, I'll let you read out the thing, because that's gonna make more sense than my ramblings.
Broadcast journalist Edward R. Murrow presents an on-screen prologue featuring footage from A Trip to the Moon, 1902, by George Méliès, explaining that it is based loosely on the book
From the Earth to the Moon by Jules Verne. Also included is the launching of an unmanned rocket and footage of the Earth receding.
What?
Yeah, because
Sorry, what? That
Jules Verne was the person that wrote the original novel Around the World in 80 Days, so you could maybe argue that, yeah, okay, fine. But that would be like, I don't know. That would be like,
it'd be like It Too, starting with a
prelude of the famous Stephen King short story Trucks.
Yeah, it would be like Jack Torrance opening I don't know, Salem's Lot. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and now we're gonna talk about Salem's Lot.
Yeah, it would exactly be like
yes,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen King wrote that, but I don't know what that has to do with anything that's going on in the film that I'm watching. It makes no sense. But yeah, that was a bit weird. But a lot of films back then did that. They just sort of, it's that sort of almost like admin sort of voice where it's like, they did it for Doctor Who, funnily enough, when they did the Dalek.
Yeah, I remember you saying,
the Dalek invasion of Earth, and it was like, spacemen, the Daleks have come to Earth and have invaded London. You know, that sort of weird voice.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. The newsreel voice.
Yeah.
It's interestingly enough, that's what Seth MacFarlane. That's what Seth MacFarlane said he based Quagmire's voice on.
That's right. He said that in Graham Norton, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I think Seth MacFarlane's. It's very sort of. Yeah, he's very creative, obviously very talented. But like that really intrigued me to know all of the voices are kind of based on something.
Yeah.
Because Hank Azaria did an interview as well, where he said that all of his voices for The Simpsons are based on something.
Yeah.
Like Comic Book Guy was based on this bloke he knew in university, who would have a whiteboard and say, "You are not on my list," and if you weren't on the list, you couldn't come into his dorm room and speak to him.
And it was like, it's crazy to think these voices are actually based on people. And
Seth MacFarlane listening to old newsreels in the basement, just like, try the new starch for your jeans in the morning. And,
Auto brand spark plugs.
Yeah, and then taking it to Quagmire, it was saying all these bizarre sexual things all the time.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, you have to have a very peculiar brain, I think, but I like it.
It's a good sort of riff on the way that those voices were, because they were very official and very sort of artificial, but
yes,
but to then hear like Quagmire's dialogue with that sort of officious voice, it's quite, just makes it so funny. Like, yeah, hey Peter, it's like, you know, it's sort of disturbing, but in a really funny way.
It's one of my favourite facts about that officious, ridiculous voice from newsreels and stuff was that way back when, I think it was like World War II era or slightly before or slightly after, that obviously when that voice was at its most popular, people started getting sort of fed up of it. They were saying, well, he doesn't sound like anyone I know.
Yeah.
This bloke. What's this voice he's speaking with? And so the BBC said, okay, well, we'll try out a few different voices then. And the one they eventually settled on after the audition process and that was somebody with a Yorkshire accent. And they played it on QI, and it wasn't at all what you're imagining. It was essentially just a slightly dialed back version of that radio voice. And then they played it on the radio to announce the weather or the sports results or whatever it was. And people, the BBC got loads of complaints. People saying, I could not understand this man. His accent was far too thick. I am not from Yorkshire. I do not expect to be spoken to by him. And it's just ridiculous things. It was crazy.
I don't know how that voice sort of began, because what executive was like, okay, we need someone to promote the films that we're going to do. We need someone with charisma. What catches people? Spaceman, the Daleks have invaded London. Blah, blah, blah. It's like,
Let's get someone who's never spoken to a human being in his life.
let's get
That person.
yeah, let's get what we imagine aliens to sound like. Matt Berry, you know Matt Berry.
I do know Matt Berry. Yeah.
He's basically the British version of that voice.
He is a bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you aren't aware of Matt Berry, he did what did he do? The IT Crowd. He did Toast of London. He's done loads of British sitcoms and stuff. Sorry, go on, mate.
and he also does a Money Supermarket.
Yes.
He has very weird control over his voice.
It's so strange.
There's sort of, yeah.
But yeah, I like his voice though, because it can make things that aren't funny incredibly funny.
Yes.
Just I don't know if you've ever seen Toast of London, but
I've not.
there's a character in it called Clem Fandango, and it's when Toast is doing ADR because he's a jobbing sort of actor, and
Okay.
Clem Fandango often doesn't hear what is being said because he takes his finger off the button in the ADR room, and every time he doesn't hear, it's like, I can't hear you. Press the button like that, and he says, "Hello, Stephen, can you hear me?" "Yes, I hear you, Clem Fandango." And he says, "I hear you, Clem," for every single time. And there's this great 3-minute sketch where he just loses his shit and says, and he does this weird. I can't really describe it. He does this weird scream, and it pierces your ears, and it traverses into the actual intro of the episode. I don't know what I'm talking about, but
Have you got any more CRQs or CRSs for the film, Dan?
yeah, I do actually.
Well, would you like to share them with us?
I don't know. I'll think about it. The cinematography's all right.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's.
We've spoken about this briefly before. I think that like a lot of in early cinema like this, and like a great example is Wizard of Oz, is essentially directors were used to thinking of things as a stage play. So that's how things were directed, and it's like, well, the audience has to just be in one place, and yeah, we can go closer on things, but not really by very much, because if you were in an audience, you wouldn't want to leap up onto the stage and stare into Robert De Niro's eyes while he's thinking about the decision that he has to make for the good of the mafia family that he's working with, or whatever it is. And so I think that's how a lot of like early cinema looks in a weird way. It's like a stage play made film. And then you obviously have like as cinematography becomes more and more accessible, and more people love it more and more. People are doing more and more creative things with it. I love a bit of creative cinematography. We know this.
Yeah, you do. Remember we had that segment that we abandoned, where it's
Yes,
just
I do remember.
10 minutes of
Lewis
you.
talks about cameras for 10 minutes.
That's it. We should bring that back.
Yeah, what we doing next time? We talk about the incredible cinematography of Flushed Away.
Oh, you've
No,
spoiled.
I shouldn't have said that before the end.
You fool! You've made it seem like they actually have a choice. No. Jesus Christ. No, there's some really good shots in this film, particularly at the start, where you see the cameras like mounted behind them. That sort of gives like the sort of the world is in front of them sort of thing. So that there's some. It's just a shame because there are some really good techniques to get people immersed in this film, and we're talking about this as if it's like it clearly has done very well, and a lot of people liked it when it came out because it made a significant amount back on its money that it sunk into. I think it was like 4 million. The budget or something. I'll need to look that up.
I think I've got this in front of me here. Yeah, the budget was 6 million.
6 million.
And at the box office, it made 42 million.
Yeah, so that's...
And in
1956
money, that's an insane amount of money.
Yeah, 6 million is a lot for a budget.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, to get 42 million back then was pretty staggering. And obviously, the fact that it's won 5 Academy Awards, which is just insane. And Best Picture, that's up there with films like Parasite and stuff. It's unbelievable the fact that this film got that, because I don't think that it's worth that. But what annoys me is that it could have been worth it. I think it could have been worthy of it, and it just cut down the runtime. Don't get rid of the racism.
Yes, get out the racism, run down the runtime, just make it generally better.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Right, $42 million in 1956 translates to $402 million in modern day money.
Fucking hell.
Didn't quite make $1 billion like Endgame, so
No, it didn't. But that's how.
maybe they should have a cinematic re-release of Around the World in 80 Days to see if they can get it to be the most watched film of all time. Maybe we should do that.
No, let's not.
No, let's definitely not do
Let's
that.
just
Christ.
let's just let this film sit on the shelf of history. Let it gather some dust.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
In case you can't tell, listeners at home, we were not enormous fans of this film.
No, we weren't.
No, yes, it's a sort of a key part of the history of cinema and all that, but yes, it's also racist, and yes, it's also 3 hours long, and Jesus Christ.
It's so well referenced in popular culture as well, despite the fact that I had never thought to watch it before it was recommended to me, and I had no idea about the 2004 remake. And I think for good, it was very popular at the time, but I think what it was just, you know, one of these films that you see that comes out, and it's fun to watch, but you don't particularly remember it. So the Academy Awards and things, I think that was maybe just a fluke.
Yeah,
a big fluke.
It's
massive
perhaps
fluke.
like if Parasite, say, had been delayed from the year it was released to the following year,
Yeah,
maybe Joker would have won those Oscars that Parasite won.
yeah, maybe.
I think when Joker came out and people were like, "Oh wow, that was absolutely incredible cinematography. That was incredible. I love that." Maybe there was just the two of us. I don't know, but maybe everybody was like, "Oh, that was really good. I love that so much. Joaquin Phoenix was great, and so was everybody else." And then Parasite came out, and everybody was like, "Oh God, yeah." Sorry, everybody. Joker was just a taxi driver with Batman in it.
Yeah.
And then Parasite won all those awards. Maybe Around the World in 80 Days is the Joker in 1956. Does this
Maybe.
analogy make any kind of sense?
Yeah, because maybe there just wasn't a film that challenged it at that time.
Yeah, that knocked it off the top spot. Yeah.
Maybe it was just a
And of
quiet
course,
year.
Parasite didn't come out till 2019, so
That's true.
couldn't compete with that, could it?
That's true. But I don't think the film deserved the acclaim that it got, and I think it was a fluke in history.
Yes, I definitely agree.
And with that, I think I've run out of notes actually.
I think I have also run out of notes. Yeah.
Do you have a closing statement?
I have a very brief closing statement. Important in the history of cinema. Did some interesting stuff with cameras. Did some interesting stuff with actually shooting on location as opposed to actually going to LA for the entire thing. But also it has aged badly, and also why in the name of God is this film 3 hours long?
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. That's my closing statement.
Yes, I think I know exactly what you mean. It's an interesting concept which could be done better or differently, or an interesting twist. Or I think maybe that you take this premise and you remake it today. What do you end up with? Do you know what I mean? It's okay. Well, let's cut out the idea that it's a rich nobleman doing this journey. Let's make it, like you say, a gritty reality thing where a bloke is struggling for a bed in a hostel, or he's on his way to the next place by just sneaking onto a train. Or, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it a bit more gritty and do something interesting with it. Maybe that's what... Because, I mean, Christ, I don't know when the book came out, but it's got to be not Creative Commons. What's it? What's the word I'm looking for? The copyright. It dissolves after 100 years, doesn't it?
That's right. And doesn't it become then
It's like a public there's a word
public
for
domain?
It. That's the word. Yeah, 1872. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's well within it then.
Yeah, exactly. So then, do something interesting with it.
I
would, but I'm poor.
I have a question then. If you were gonna cast the remake of Around the World in 80 Days, who would you cast as Phileas Fogg, and who would you cast as I can't pronounce the name. I can't. The bloke that Canton Flash played.
Yeah.
It's a hard name to pronounce. I apologise, folks.
I'm not sure, because if you're going to make it a gritty, reality-based thing of a young upstart rich person or a young upstart type person trying to become rich, then you're sort of calling on the generation of younger actors. So me, no, of course me.
But that then, because to be clear, it's not a film about a guy really getting rich, because he is already rich. It's literally just aristocrats who have the time in their hands, and it's just a funny bet that they decide to do, and they can just do that. So would it be recontextualised then?
So let's say I want the main character to be like an unbearable snob. I want him to be a rich bloke with rich mates, becoming more rich with time.
Yeah.
Through a rich bet with rich people. I want him to be unbearable. You know who played an unbearable character very well?
Who?
Ed Westwick in early Gossip Girl. Chuck Bass is a horrible, horrible person in early Gossip Girl, and Ed Westwick played that very well. So I would go for that if I could.
I haven't seen Gossip Girl.
I mean, it's not your kind of thing.
No.
There are enjoyable moments, enjoyable ideas, but it's not your kind of thing. I enjoyed watching it because I like the drama.
You could still have the snob thing, but you could make it like it's a guy, a gritty sort of upstart who doesn't have anything, and basically says, "I bet you this," and they're so snobby and arrogant that they say, "Fine, and then he goes and does it, or they go and do it. Whoever you could cast anyone, and then they come back, and then it could be about that. That could be fun.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
I like Rowan Atkinson has to be in it somewhere.
Of course,
he has to be. He's like the just. I don't know who he would play in it. Maybe Canton Flass's character, but I don't know. But so
you know what film I watched last night?
What?
Johnny English.
Did you? Oh, what a film!
I did. Chloe and I watched Johnny English last night. I forget what it was. We were watching Mock the Week or something. Somebody mentioned Johnny English. I was like, oh my god, yeah, that was a great film.
It was.
And it was on. Turns out it's on Netflix, so we checked it out. It's such a good, kind of a classic in a weird way.
It is.
I absolutely adore Rowan Atkinson. He's hilarious.
He certainly is. He would be in my remake of this film if I could, if that happened. But God, we're just let's just go make it, Lewis. At this point. But yeah, that was.
Yes, that was Around the World in 80 Days. It was a film.
It was a film. It is a film.
Yes, it is a film. Right. Have we got some credits? Have we got some anything else? Have we got some random nonsense of any kind?
We do have some credits. We're now in the credits. We are now in the credits section. Ha! See, that was a nice callback.
Men from space come to do the credits.
Moon men. Goodbye. Moon. I am on Instagram at O'Hiram. I'm on Facebook at Daniel K Actor. I'm on Twitter at Kerzo2000. What are you on, Lewis?
I am on Instagram at Lewis_Brindley. I am on Twitter at LewisBrindley4, and I have a Facebook page called Lewis Brindley, which is my name, so it's helpful because it means I don't forget my name anymore. And also, the show has a Facebook page called Shouting Into the Void. It's a good Facebook page.
It is.
We've got about 100 followers on it now. It's nice. I like having the Facebook page. People are like, oh, I like the podcast. I'll follow that. It's really good. Go and check out the Facebook page if you haven't already. If you have Facebook, I'm sure you'll know how to find it better than I do. I'm quite Facebook illiterate.
Yeah. We're on Podomatic. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We have a YouTube channel. We're on Deezer. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on Amazon Podcasts. We have a PayPal donate button, so anything you can spare would be most appreciated. Mm-hmm. We are on Patreon, and we want to take this opportunity to thank our wonderful, wonderful patrons. Chloe.
Thank you.
Darius.
Thank you.
Sophie.
Thank you.
Peter.
Thank you.
Aditya.
Thank you.
And of course Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You make the show possible with your support, and it means the absolute world that you do support us. You help us to pay for hosting fees and advertising fees and all the other random bits and bobs that come with running a podcast. So thank you very much. We love doing this. So you help us to do it. So thank you.
You certainly do. We also have merch. We sell t-shirts, jumpers, tote bags, stickers, mugs, all sorts of things. If that interests you, you can check them out on Redbubble and Teespring. If that's...
Yep, the links will be within arm's reach. They'll be in the description, or in a link tree, or on the Facebook. They'll be somewhere. You'll find
Yeah.
them. I've got faith in you.
See,
Go on an expedition. Like, you like this? I'm linking it back to the film. Go on an expedition and bet yourself, what is it, £500,000 that you'll be able to find the link to our merch store.
wow, smooth as a hedgehog's arse hole. But last but certainly not least, we are partnered with an amazing company called Number 12 Crochet Avenue, and Lewis has a plethora of amazing things to say about this fantastic company. Lewis, on you go.
I do indeed have a plethora of things to say about this company. Not to. I don't know where I was going with that sentence, but I'm going to start off by saying that Number 12 Crochet Avenue is a business run by my amazing wife. She crochets, and she's really, really good at it. She's making something fantastic at the minute. It's absolutely adorable. It's Christmas themed. It's Christmas time, everybody. Get in touch with at Number 12 Crochet Avenue. That's the Instagram. She has a beautiful Instagram, sells beautiful things. Go and take a look, check it out, see what you like.
Yes. So, that was Around the World in 80 days, Lewis.
Yes, and now I will never speak of it again.
Never.
Never. Somebody will say to me, have you seen that film, Around the World in 80 Days? And I'll go, what?
It physically and mentally drained me to talk about this film, and I think the listeners will know that. I think they'll know. There were some points there where I was like, what the fuck is he talking? He clearly has no idea what he's talking about in this one. He's just talking about fucking Toast of London and that weird sketch. Holy shit. Okay.
Oh, crikey.
Well, let's spin the wheel, and we'll see what a Patreon pick is. I felt like Rob Brydon there for Would I Lie to You. He always manages to rhyme stuff, doesn't he?
Yes.
This is my... Never mind. It's fine. I'm going off again. But yeah, so here we go.
Oh, that's interesting. It's actually come up with a special magical formula that allows us to do a triple bill.
Oh my god.
Yes, we're doing a trilogy. We're doing a trilogy of episodes based on one of my favourite movie studios, Aardman. And there's every chance in the world that you're there going, what? Who are Aardman? And then you're becoming furious, and then you're making a meringue. You're using that fury to whisk some eggs and some sugar. You're making meringue entirely out of fury.
Yeah, you're like...
Well, Aardman...
Like Delia Smith.
Yes, like Delia Smith. Well, basically, Aardman... Can you imagine a film where Play-Doh or plasticine is used to make the main figures and people in the film? Because if you can, Aardman probably made it. They made such hits as Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, and Flushed Away.
Yes.
And that is what we're going to be doing for our trilogy of episodes that we've got to celebrate our coming back. We rolled it landed on Flushed Away, and I mentioned this to my wife, and she said, actually, why don't we do a trilogy episode? And I like doing a trilogy episode. We did the Shaun of the Dead episode, and we did what was it?
We did...
the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah. It wasn't just an episode. We did like 3 separate...
Yes, we did 3 separate episodes to make a trilogy episode. And now we're going to do a trilogy episode all over again. We're going to start with Flushed Away, then go on to Chicken Run, and then go on to Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Lewis, you have broken the first rule of any rigging of an election.
What's that?
You haven't got your alibi straight, okay?
Oh, no.
You should have discussed this with me. We could have sorted this out, but you've said that we spinned the wheel and it landed... Listen, it doesn't matter now. We're doing Flushed Away, folks, okay? All you need to know is that's what's happening, okay? There you go. Done. See how I handled that, Lewis?
Yeah, you handled that brilliantly. I'm a newbie at rigging elections.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun, and we're gonna enjoy it, and you're gonna enjoy it as well. Okay?
Indeed you are. You better enjoy it.
Brilliant. So please tune in for that, and we will hear you.
See you later.
Smell you. Take you on a 3-hour fucking film journey with needless set pieces and Frank Sinatra's in it somewhere for whatever. Yeah, who cares? Yeah. See you later.
Thanks very much for listening. Bye.